In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to set up Tag Manager with your Squarespace website. Tag Manager is a free application from Google that allows you to set up certain actions on your site as an event. We can then go into Google Analytics and track performance on our website back to those specific events. The most common events I like to track are email clicks, phone numbers, form submissions, and email opt-ins. For most service-based businesses, these are the type of conversions that will drive revenue. So in order to increase revenue, we need to understand which channels and sources are driving our traffic and contributing to those conversions. This allows us to scale what's working or take a look at what's not working to diversify our marketing channels. Setting up Tag Manager allows us to do that. I'm Cara Wolf, Squarespace SEO expert and website designer. Let's dive in. So I'm here in Tag Manager. Now to access Tag Manager, you want to go to tagmanager.google.com. It's going to ask you to either sign in with an existing Google account or you'll need to create one. At this point in the process, you probably have a Google account. Before you set up Tag Manager, you want to make sure to set up Google Analytics first because it's going to ask you for your Google Analytics number ID. So at this point, by the time you get to this video, if you don't have a Google Analytics account, I have a video below where you can go set up your Google Analytics account. Once you've done that, now you can come back, go to tagmanager.google.com, and just make sure you sign in with the same Google account you're using to set up your Google Analytics. So your dashboard is going to look like something like this, although it's probably not going to have any containers. Now, the way Tag Manager works is it's sort of similar to Google Analytics where we have accounts and then properties, and you can have one account with multiple properties. So here in Tag Manager, we can create an account, and then at the account level under that account, we can have multiple containers. So you can see that this is an account that I use for some of my clients, and I give each of my client their own account because I want them to have ownership of that account. So for my own personal websites, I have one account with multiple containers in it, multiple websites. But for these client accounts, I have individual accounts. Now, if you're coming in here for the very first time, the very first thing you're going to need to do is to create an account. And then inside that account, we're going to create a container. And if you have more than one website associated with your business, you could always come back and create more containers under that account. So I'm going to go ahead and create this create account up in the upper right. Let's go ahead and make this smaller so we can walk through these steps together. Now I'm going to go ahead and set this up for my client today. So I did a website for Durango Sprinkler. I like to make the account name the same as the website name or the company name. They are in the United States. And here's their website. So for most of you watching this, the target platform is going to be web. This is for website, desktop and mobile web pages. The rest of this is for apps and things like that. Most of you go ahead and click web. And then we're going to go ahead and create this account. So of course you want to go through and accept everything, read their terms and conditions. Once that's done, it's going to give you instructions to install Tag Manager. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and copy this code, and we're going to paste this at the head. So in Squarespace, we're going to navigate back to our Squarespace dashboard, and there's two ways you can get to your header code injection. One is to hit the slash key and start typing in code, and we can access our code injection from here, or at the time of recording this video, we can come down to pages and then go down to custom code and code injection. Now here we have the header. So we're going to go ahead and take that first code, which is supposed to be placed at the head of your website, and they want it at the top. They want it as high up as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this right at the very top of the code injection. And then we're going to go ahead and take this. They want it in the body tag. In Squarespace, we can't explicitly put it specifically in the body tag. So we're going to go ahead and put it in the footer. Now, I have seen websites where this is not included. If you Google it, or if you ask ChatGPT, Google is pretty confident that this has to be in there. This is basically a fail-safe. It basically is on the 1% chance that the JavaScript doesn't load, this no script version will load. So 99% of the time, this is going to trigger, but this is for that 1% of the time when Google feels like it needs a fail-safe. So there's no downside to putting this in your footer code, so I go ahead and do it. I've seen it done both ways. All right, now we're going to go ahead and hit save. And just to clarify, I'm actually going to bring this up. So the second part of this Google Tag Manager code is supposed to be placed immediately after the opening of the body. And for Squarespace, we're putting this in the footer code injection. It's to ensure tracking works even if a user has JavaScript disabled. So I just wanted to clarify, it's a fallback for when JavaScript is disabled. So again, I've seen it done both ways in Squarespace, where some include it and some don't. At the time of recording this video, I am including it. So let's go ahead and get back up into the setup. So now we have installed Tag Manager in both the header and the code footer. And now we're going to go ahead and test our website. So after I put this in, I did hit save. And now we're going to go ahead and put his website in. And let's just make sure it sees it. All right, and we are good to go. So we've installed this and it has been tested. So we have a few more steps to go now. So far, all we've done is confirm that the code is in the website, but we still have to set up a tag and a trigger that tells the website, hey, every time someone clicks on a page, this data needs to be sent over to Google Analytics. And later we'll get into some custom tracking where we say, hey, every time this specific custom event happens, send this over to Google Analytics. So let's go ahead and get into tags and triggers. Now at this point, you probably don't have any tags or triggers. So we need to go ahead and set up that initial just general Google tag that's going to send all data over to Google Analytics. So we're going to hit tags and we're going to hit new. And we're going to call this all pages. And this is our general Google Analytics. So you can title this whatever you want, but basically we want to remember that this is the overall, we're tagging everything that goes into Google Analytics. So tag configuration. So we're just doing, to start, just a straight up Google tag. Now we need the ID from our Google Analytics. So I'm going to come into Google Analytics. So at this point, you've probably set this up. So you're going to want to go to analytics.google.com. That's going to bring you to the Google Analytics account that you set up before, or if you haven't, go ahead and do that. We're going to come down to admin. We're going to go to data streams. We're going to click on this data stream, and then we're going to grab this measurement ID. So we're going to go ahead and put that into Tag Manager. Now the trigger is already set. It's already been set as initialization, all pages. So this is what we want. If for some reason that's not showing, you can click the edit button and choose something else, but this is what we want. We want Google tag, going to our Google Analytics, and then all pages. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. Now we want to preview and make sure this actually fires. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the preview button. And we're going to go ahead and put that website back in. And we're going to go ahead and connect. So it's going to bring it up in another window. So we've kind of got in this other window here. I'm just going to pull it to the side. So it says it's connected. Great. Continue. So now as I'm on here, I can kind of poke around and do certain things. I'm actually going to scroll to the footer and go to a different page. So I just hit the contact page on here and you can see it fired the tag. So we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. And we're going to close out of this because we've retested that. Now I'm going to go ahead and submit. Now the way Tag Manager works, anytime you make an edit, you have to submit your changes. I've done that before where I go in and I make some edits and then I forget to publish. So you always have to publish your changes. So added G4 all pages. I'm just going to say initial set up. So you don't have to put in a version name and description, but it's nice over time to have that record so you can go back and remember, oh yeah, that's what I changed that one time. So I do recommend putting in a version name and a description. And we're going to hit publish. So this is going to go ahead and make it live on the site. So you can see it now has been published. Now here's the trick. If you have already set up Google Analytics and you've synced it up to your website using the built-in setup, we have to go in and remove that. Otherwise, it's going to fire twice. I'm going to go to Pages. And we're going to go back. So we are going to the Settings. And what we're looking for is external API keys. And again, you can use the / key and start typing in external API keys. Now on this website, when I launched this for my client, I set up Google Analytics and I put this Google Analytics tag in here. Now what this does is when you take this measurement ID and you use the built-in integration to put this into Google Analytics, it's setting up that tag for you. So that process we just went through, when you take this ID and you put it in using the external API integrator, it's setting up a tag for you. It's literally replicating the process we just did. So if you're not planning on doing any custom tag work, if you don't want to track anything in particular, you just want Google Analytics, I do not recommend setting up Tag Manager. You can just set up Google Analytics, put in this measurement ID, and it will do that work for you. Now, that being said, if you do want to track other things, such as phone clicks, email clicks, form submissions, etc., we have just gone through the process of creating that tag where the website says, okay, every time something fires, every time a page loads, we fire this data into Google Analytics. If you don't come back in here and remove this, you will get duplicate data. So I just went through that whole process, set it up in Tag Manager, tested it. It's firing on Tag Manager. So it's safe now to get rid of this because it's happening through Tag Manager instead. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now Google Analytics is officially set up through Tag Manager. Your Tag Manager account is officially set up. So we are all good and good to go and ready to move on to setting up more custom tags. I do want to make one more quick note. So I'm going to come back over here to Tag Manager. And now on the overview page, so on the tags page, you can see we've got this tag set up, initialization all pages. On the overview page, a lot of times I'll see some errors up here. So sometimes this is because pages no longer exist, things like that. So usually what I do is I just click View Issue, see on Tag Pages, and I just double check and make sure there isn't anything that needs tagging. Now in this case, you know, the home page and the contact page have been tagged. It's saying that this service request page has not been tagged, but it's also, as I hover over it, it's saying you just added this tag and could take 24 hours to update. So I wouldn't panic. Just, you know, come back in here, double check if this error is still persisting. What you can do is you can hover over and you can click this little icon here and it will open up Tag Assistant. It'll open up that preview option we just had, and you can just manually check and make sure that that tag is firing. But I would recommend giving it some time and just seeing if that error doesn't go away on its own, because again, you know, we just set this up. It probably just hasn't fully configured yet. If this video is helpful, like and subscribe. Look in the description below for all the links I talked about, and keep your eye out for future videos with a follow-up to Tag Manager.